Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. Our show today is a woman's prerogative, and we're going to be talking about sisterhood and bliss. What does that mean? We're going to find out. I am super excited to be joined by my dear friend, Jacalyn. She is known as the Harley Street stress expert, and she has been with me for over 2 years, I think. So please do tune in. She's got some other shows on our platform. She's on Talking Heads, which is also on E360 TV, and she's also on the Listening Mentor. She'll be coming back tomorrow to be part of our marathon event, which is World Jenny's Day, which is normalizing conversations about depression and suicide. Let's welcome Jacalyn to the show. Hello. Woo! Woo! Here we are.
It didn't seem that long ago since we saw each other on Friday, and now we're here together on Monday, together.
And I think what people might not understand or realize is that the shows we do together are intense because there's no script, and many times we're talking about some serious or deep issues that sometimes can take an emotional toll, but that's what I think sisterhood is all about. What about you?
Oh, I totally agree with you. We do go deep. As one of my other promoters would say to me, Jacalyn, you're very deep. And we do go deep in the subjects because what sounds like a really simple question can actually go very deep in its understanding and translation in terms of what you share and also what I share too.
Absolutely. And Jacalyn, we're going to get a little bit more into your background, but I wanted to share something I think that you can appreciate, and I hope that our audience will be able to appreciate as well. I had someone come out to give an estimate on something, and the person went through a lot of information, and she really tried hard to close me for the business. And I said someone else was coming out to give an estimate, and she kept pushing and pushing, and she said, okay, I'm going to see how well you were listening. And I thought, oh, here we go. This should be a good one. So she asked me 3 questions, and I got the answers right. They were about her presentation. And she said, no one has gotten all 3 answers right. And I said, well, that's because I teach people how to listen, so I have to do it myself. But the funny thing is, she wasn't listening. She was not listening to anything I said because she kept over talking me. So I said to her that I was glad that there was a woman representative coming out, because many times for these types of things, they send out a man, and if I could support her in some way, I would. So anyway, we're here talking about sisterhood and the fact that we do support each other as women. And I'd love for you to share with our audience, especially people meeting you for the first time, that you do help people bust their stress. And most people, are stressed out quite often. Tell us what you do.
Yeah, I'm no different. We're all human, and stuff gets in the way. People cause situations in terms of needing things, and deadlines can cause stress. So I help people literally bust through their stress. What do I mean by that? If you're walking around with physical ache and pain, or emotional ache and pain, or if you're walking around complaining about something or someone, that is your stress. You might be somebody that says, I'm not stressed, but then in conversation, you'll say you're not sleeping, you're struggling with food, you might be struggling with a relationship issue or an intimacy issue. So that is what's causing your stress. And how I help you is I work with root cause therapy using chakra psychology to literally identify the root cause in your blueprint to obliterate what is causing your repeating pattern of stress. And I help everyone that feels comfortable to reach out and bust their stress. I offer a free complimentary consultation on Zoom, Skype, Messenger, audio, video, or if you're really camera shy, by telephone. You can reach me on No More Stress at live.co.uk, or if you're calling, +44, if you're international, 07523 120 189. And I look forward to helping you bust your stress.
And as you know, I keep predicting that it's going to be a top #1 new release on the charts, even though it hasn't been written. But I think after World Jenny's Day, we will get to it. So.
Absolutely.
Speaking of sisterhood, I didn't even get a chance to talk to you about this, but I saw there was an incredible event. I believe you attended over the weekend, and it looked like you really made a big impression there. Tell us about that event. What was it? What was the purpose? And what did you do there?
Well, this event actually happened at the beginning of September. It's just taken me a little while to get all my social media posts sorted out. And I was invited to speak at a ladies' event called From the Father's Joy, which is an organisation, a church. And I was invited to speak on stress management. And it was in the beautiful hotel in in Uxbridge, in London, just past London. And the event was over the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I arrived on the Friday, and I was greeted with an incredible dinner, and then an incredible lunch and an incredible dinner on the Saturday. So food was plentiful. But what it was women together praying, singing, sharing, teaching, wisdom, spiritual conversation. And what really surprised me is they had something very magical already bottled in terms of their praying wasn't like sort of a Christian normal way of praying that when I went to church as a child was praying. It was singing at the top of your voices. And then it was praying in terms of praying out loud for everything and everyone and people in your life. And it was just really quite an incredible experience, vibrationally, frequency-wise. I just felt like I was on an emotional and a euphoric high. So when it came to my turn to do my talk, which was just after lunch, I was greeted by the beautiful Reverend Victoria Lawrence with absolute admiration. We'd known each other only online. We hadn't actually met before that event. So I had been and done a conference with her to Nigerian women online as soon as after she'd heard me in a talk online at another conference. And so we've actually really developed our relationship online. And I didn't appreciate that we hadn't physically met. And it was just euphoric in a bottle, euphoria bottled. And when the women were asking me, how do you manage stress? How do you manage anxiety? And I said, this is it. What you've got here, the camaraderie, the sisterhood, the absolute blissful states that they were experiencing and I was experiencing was quite incredible. I felt welcomed, adored, loved, cherished, and at the same time, knowing nothing about what they were saying, the words were unknown to me. It was an incredible experience. And I've been on a high ever since. Things have really turned for me since then. My productivity has gone through the roof. I've been getting lots of things done. And it's been quite extraordinary what's happened in the space of being in that. And it was sisterhood. It was women together, praying, singing, sharing, and in huge depths of laughter, joy, and inner states of peace. And so the whole frequency of that conference was incredible.
I'm super pumped up and excited just listening to you share about it. And I love the fact that you might not have understood everything at a certain level, but yet you were able to understand it from your soul, from your heart. And as a result, you are pumped up and productive and smiling and happy.
Mhm. And sometimes you don't need, what I realize, especially in a spiritual space, and I'm talking spiritually in every case of how people would consider spiritual, whether it's religious, whether it's much more, sort of how you live in your private practice, what it is that you believe, everything is spiritual in terms of our value system. So I'm not just talking about one religion versus another. I mean, in your spiritual life, in your personal beingness. And that was the extraordinary thing, because I didn't even know what type of religion it was or church. I just felt completely welcomed, brought in. My heart was just completely busted open. I was like this. I felt like Michelin Man. I was like sort of, really creepy. And it was, that I even shared a testimonial on the second day that I was there, because the feeling of not knowing anyone apart from the beautiful Victoria Lawrence and who'd invited me, and one of the other ladies who I'd met in my speaking career way back, about 7 years ago now. Those are the only two people I actually knew, but it didn't matter, everything was just free and easy. It was just absolutely exceptionally amazing. And I do feel it was very much about the collaboration, about the energy, the feminine energy coming together in sisterhood and being in a place of huge heart and healing.
So needed right now more than ever. So what I'm taking away from what you just shared is to step into the unknown, step out of your comfort zone and go align, go enjoy, go meet new people. And you never know where it's going to go, even if you don't speak the same language.
There were some times where, because I didn't know, but I just kind of, held my hands and I was feeling the energy. And there were some people that were there that were preoccupied with their phones at times or not so engaged. And that to me, I noticed that their frequency was different to the ones that were completely in it. Their eyes were closed and they were in a euphoric state of beingness. And sort of, I didn't understand what was going on. What I did was I just opened up to the experience and I got it all without even really understanding the words, what they were really doing, because nobody explained it to me. And I just went into it full wholeheartedness. And I got tons out of it. And that's what I would say, the participation is much greater than having a need or requirement to understand it from this place. The participation of being in that vibration and even humming and, sort of being in that open-hearted space. I got it all.
I'm so happy for you that you had that experience, and I'm grateful that you're able to share it with us here. And I know you put it on Facebook as well. So for people, they can go and follow you. We've got your link, which we'll put up. They can follow you on your Facebook and on your LinkedIn. Actually, we do have people from your Facebook and LinkedIn who can be watching us right now. So welcome.
Oh, absolutely. Streaming live on Facebook and LinkedIn, my two main platforms that I use. And if you miss the live broadcast, you can always catch up on the replay because the link still works.
I love that, don't you?
I do.
Well, I wanted to share a little bit about sisterhood. This weekend, I decided to audition for something. I've wanted to do it for a very long time, and the timing never seemed right. And now all of a sudden it seemed right. So I went into this thing, and it was all women. And it's not limited to women, but it happened to be women at the audition. And I probably was at least 30 years older than everyone. And sometimes that can be really intimidating, but I don't let it get into my head because I really pride myself from a heart-centric way on keeping myself in shape. So I knew I could do what was being requested. And I had put together a little, what's the word? I put together my routine of what I was going to be doing and had practiced it over and over and over again. And anyway, long story short, of course, when you get there in front of everyone, you don't remember exactly all of it because you are under pressure. But the point is that I didn't know any of these women, and they each auditioned, and then it was this shared experience, and they were able to also talk a little bit about their personal background. And one of them just lost both of her parents, and I lost my mother, and so there were really bonds that were built that wouldn't have taken place otherwise had I not put myself in that position. And also there were people there who have never taught anything, and they decided to go ahead and audition. And I love that because I have taught in the past. I haven't taught I guess a couple of years, but anyway, so it was super exciting, and to me that was a time very well worthwhile. And as to whether or not it's going to come to fruition, I don't know, but I'll always be glad that I put myself out there and that I met those women.
That's an incredible share, Dr. Jacalyn. I love the fact that it's in the vulnerability, and that's what you're sharing, in your space of vulnerability. And the feminine energy is very good at that when it feels safe to share from a vulnerable space, because when you share from that space, you can always connect at a much, much deeper level than would be possible if you were just skirting over the edges and trying to sound like everything's okay, because we're human, and our humanness means that when we step into a place of vulnerability, and life happens to everyone, but if we kind of keep going around saying, oh, I'm awesome, everything's wonderful, everything's great, there's no catch, there's no glitches, there's no challenges, if we are in that space, then we're not actually evolving. We are just treading water. And so when we do go through those challenges, we evolve and we become greater than and bigger than and more than who we were being prior to that challenge. So I do, even though it's challenging and stressful at times, I move through those challenges and take them on board, because this is the greatest potential of growth and reward.
It sure is. It is. And, the one thing I find very interesting, because you and I have had this conversation before, is that I am in my masculine energy quite a bit. And with my mom getting sick and then her passing, I've been in the feminine energy. And part of the feminine energy, I think, that is difficult for me is that when I am feeling that vulnerability, it also feels like a weakness at sometimes, because if I'm in the masculine energy, I have all these things to do, right? None of them went away. There's only more things to do, right? And there's no one to do them, and I have to get them done. But yet at the same time, the part of me that feels the loss and feels the vulnerability, that part needs to come out too. So it's almost like if you think of Libra with the scales, and it's hard to get them balanced.
Oh, I totally agree with that one. And I've got quite a few deadlines and people chasing me for things, which you have to step into your masculine energy to get those things done. There's no way that you can be emotional. I can't be emotional with my accountant. He just wants it. He wants it now. And that's the story for it. He has a date to file, and he's like sort of chasing, because there is no emotion in that. And so I have to work towards that, in that masculine energy of that task focus and that logical attention to detail to get stuff done. But then, if I'm feeling tired and need to eat, then I have to step into my feminine energy and go and sort of sit down and take a break and be in a space of being okay to take that break, and to be in that space of having a nutritious and a nourishing meal for me, for my soul, and for what I really need. And it is to take a break from the screen, and that is being okay to say you don't need to be on 24/7, which is where the masculine energy will really kick in.
It's true. It's true. And I am finding that I can be vulnerable, but then I can slip into the masculine energy, and like it just happened today. And yeah, I've got to get back to work. Somebody came out to get hello. Yeah, it's been fun. I got to go. You got to go.
I
And there
hear
is a
you.
way to do it. But I think it's interesting also how certain events that take place, like you were talking about what you're doing, what you're going through, and I was talking about what I'm going through, and had a very different energy before we started the show, and you could feel it. And it's kind of like when you have all these things to do and these deadlines, you don't want to take it out on anyone else. And at the same time, you'd rather go and hide and do whatever it is that you need to do, but you can't because you have commitments of things, right? So my energy's actually changed now that you and I are having this conversation. And I think that's another important point for people, that when you are going through something, even if it's a day-to-day thing and you have deadlines, commitments, or you're feeling certain things, you can talk to someone about it. You don't have to go into in-depth and boo-hoo and take up their entire day, but sometimes just being with someone or speaking about something for a short time can be helpful. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And what I wanted to share here is that I've gone to a number of ladies groups in terms of my healing type work, meditation work. And it's a really big thing. And certainly I attended a number of ladies circles. And this is a very old tradition, in tribal times, that women would meet together in circle and share a healing space. And in that tribal setting of not needing to do anything, the sharings would be actually extremely healing as well as transformational for not just the person that's in the circle that's sharing, actually for everyone. Because when you share in that space of vulnerability, especially in a ladies group, which is feminine energy, it transmutes and heals not just you, but the whole of the group. Because we're human, and we're being in our humanness, and we're all in the same kinds of challenges. There will be some loss for most people. And even if it is a breakdown in a relationship, that will also be a sense of loss and a sense of grieving. And so it's not just about somebody physically dying. That feeling of loss can come up in all sorts of ways. And from that perspective, when you're sharing it, especially with other females, other women, the heart becomes much softer and more tender. And this is really good because that's the place of healing.
That is definitely the place of healing. And something I wanted to share, which this is kind of a guilty pleasure, is that on my smart TV, I've been watching this show series. It's a reality show called I think it's called Love at First Sight. Have you heard of this?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So it's the latest season. And anyway, there's a gentleman on there who's about to get married or not get married. And he talks about how he's never been able to open up or share his feelings with anyone. And that really hit me, because he cries and he's really vulnerable. And we expect that men are always going to be strong. And, obviously the world's different today. It's not the same types of relationships. There's all different kinds of relationships. But just thinking about how it's okay for all of us to be vulnerable and to have that feeling of being safe in your vulnerability, as opposed to people making fun of you or feeling awkward, not knowing what to say or what to do. So that was kind of a reminder for me. I don't think he makes it to down the aisle though from the preview, sadly. But anyway, we'll see. But I think for all of us to be able to show that vulnerability is also important. And something else that I had to enact recently was, in the current mindset with everything that I have on my plate, World Jenny's Day Marathon coming up, with plus all the regular shows and everything else that's going on, and my mom's passing the estate, blah, 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 blah. There's only so much I can take. There's only so much that can fit in here, right, that I can actually do. So I've had to actually say, no, I can't do X, Y, and Z right now. And I feel badly because I always want to say yes, but we talk about setting boundaries and asking for permission. And I've had to do that because I can't give somebody what I don't have.
That's absolutely true. And that's what you've just described, is a place of of ensuring that you're taking care of you. So setting boundaries, even though it sounds like a very challenging and like sort of uncomfortable word and phrase to use, what you're actually doing is taking care of self, taking care of what you need in order to be able to be everything for yourself as well as everyone else.
It's true. And also, if you asked something of me, which you didn't, but if you did, and I really didn't have the mental capacity to give it to you, you're going to know. And you might be like, I wish you had just told me, because, you know, you and I can have a conversation about it. But sometimes people feel really uncomfortable about that. And when we talk about sisterhood and bliss, I think it's also important that self-care definitely is in the forefront, and that we feel comfortable enough with ourselves that we can say to someone, I want to be here for you. I just can't give you anything at this moment. And you always say this to me, and you say this in general. What can you give? When can you give it? Instead of just giving excuses, people don't like to hear no, not now. When can you? When will you be available?
I totally agree with you. And at the same time, there are different ways of approaching people where they can pick it up in their time. So I feel that when you send a text, then you're not, well, I don't expect somebody to respond straight away. It's great if they do. But when you send a text or a message, a written message on any platform, then the person will pick it up when they're ready. And so, you know, we do live in a time where people are expecting an immediate response, whereas I don't feel that's realistic. And instead of when you have sent a message, the person then picks it up in the space and the time that they've got available and responds when they're free and they're available. And it might be hours, or it could be minutes, or it could be the following day. But they've got the message and they've responded in their time. And I think that that's a really nice way of making sure that you're not stepping over somebody's boundaries, that they pick up the message in the space that they are comfortable and the time is right for them.
Absolutely. As I always say, I feel like it's a gift. You're giving someone the gift of your time, your focus, and you're completely there and present for them, instead of, oh, let me do this at the same time I'm listening to you, because we can't do two things at the same time and be listening at an elevated level.
That's totally true. And that's very important for people to remember, that if your head is preoccupied with a deadline or something that you're working on, then you're being absolutely professional by saying, not right now, my head's full and I'm working on this. I'll come back to you when I've got this sorted, and when I'm freer to be 100% with you. And I feel that that's kinder for them as well as you.
I totally agree with you. You know, speaking of sisterhood, I just wanted to share something else that I've got something here. This is not a self promo, although it is, but I'm bringing it up for a reason. I'm speaking at the World Summit on Women and Girls. And so this is coming up in October in Philadelphia. And Dr. Justine Matali, who was on this particular show with us, she invited me to be chairperson for this panel. And just thinking about the sisterhood of it with all these women, I think there might be some men attending as well. I started becoming really overwhelmed. And I became overwhelmed because, number one, I have to pack and I have to travel, something that I used to do all the time when I was in corporate, and now something that I absolutely dread. I don't feel like going anywhere. I don't have winter clothes. So it started becoming overwhelming. And I thought, you know what, instead of focusing on that, why don't you research the people who are going to be on the panel, the ones that you're interviewing? And by the way, what are you asking them? Are you going to be given the questions, or do you have to come up with them? So I started doing that. And what I found was that these women, there's 6 of them, from different parts of the world. I don't know them. Some of them I couldn't find on LinkedIn, but I did my research and I did find them. Fascinating backgrounds. And I thought, isn't this incredible that I'm going to have an opportunity to meet these women who are doing unbelievable things to help support women and girls in different parts of the world. So I reached out to all of them, gave them my contact information, and said, I'd really like to speak with you or meet with you before the event, if that's possible. And one of them reached out this morning and would like to be on our platform. I didn't even say anything about being on the platform, but she did her research. And so I took something that was becoming overwhelming and I started to break it down, and now I feel better about it. So I think that's also important, to reach out to others and find out about them instead of focusing on your own insecurity or lack of confidence.
That's absolutely true, because what you did, and you described it beautifully, is that you got yourself into the place of what it was that you were going to, rather than the preparation of getting there. And what you did is you got an experience before you actually got there, ahead of the time, and the connections were greater than the effect of the anxiety of the preparation of going to the event. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Even when I was in corporate, I should say, especially when I was in corporate, I dread, loathe, hate, do not like going to networking events at all. I've always been a nervous wreck. I start sweating. You walk in and you go, oh, I don't know a single person. And what are you supposed to do? And people are coupled up, or people are having conversations, and you're standing there. Are you going to just go and burst into someone else's conversation? It's an awkward thing. So that's also been coming up for me as well. So I said to myself, well, instead of looking at that way, and the fact that I haven't been at a networking event in years, think about what you will do. Have a plan. And when you have the plan, you're not going to feel so uncomfortable. Any suggestions you have?
Yes, I used to teach this.
I love it.
I used to teach how to network and have a good time. And one of the tips that I will share with you and with our viewers is that when you're feeling nervous about, what to say, when to say it, and who to talk to, is that people love talking about themselves. And if you are that nervous person, not quite sure, what to say and who to say it to, is that when you decide to speak to somebody, that you ask them, that you just say, oh, hello, what brings you here? Who is it that you know? Or, something to the effect of, I'm Caroline, what's your name and why are you here? How did you find out about the event? Tell me about you. Tell me what you do for work. Tell me what you're passionate about. And when you're then turning it on to them, then the conversation is easy, and then it becomes more free flowing.
I love this. And I hope people will take it and run with it, because it really does change things up. What I like to do is what I call a double reverse, which is when someone asks me about me, I give them a very short answer and I turn it back over to them. No, let's hear about you.
I do something similar, because when I start to talk about me, they find what I do really, really interesting. And then I want to know about them first. And so, it might be something very simple and quick for them. But as soon as I start saying what I do, they start to ask me lots of questions. So I also say, oh, tell me about you first, or go you first, and then I'll tell you about me. Because when I'm hearing about what they do, if they're a solicitor or a barrister or an accountant or a banker, I know they're really stressed. And so then when it comes to my turn, then I say, oh, well, I can definitely help you out. I'm a stress expert. And that's what makes them laugh, because they go, oh, I could really do with your services. And so I find it interesting to find out about the other person first. One, because I know about me, and I want to enjoy it, and I don't want to have to keep repeating what I do. So I want to learn about them. And then when they ask me, I put the bits in that are relevant to that person.
I think you would be a great fit for pretty much anyone, because we all suffer with some kind of stress, right?
Well, this is why people usually laugh and they go, "Oh, I bet you're really busy." and you know, and then suddenly I'm the doctor, you know, "Oh, I've got this neck pain, you know, what would you say about that?" Or, you know, "I don't sleep at night." And suddenly, you know, you're the doctor on call without being paid for it. But, you know, that's why I do like to turn it around and say, especially if they come in first and say, "Oh, tell me what you do." And I go, "Oh, no, tell me about what you do. I'd really love to hear what you do first." And there might be this little bit of a 2 and 8, you know, saying, "Oh, no, I asked first." I go, "No, go on, tell me." And that creates, just like you're feeling now, a bit of laughter, a bit of, you know, sort of lightness. And so they go, "Okay, then, you know, I'll tell you, and then you can tell me afterwards." And just that thing there, that sort of going backwards and forwards creates that icebreaker, that then it's not so formal, and there's like a little bit of banter and a little bit of lightness about that exchange that makes the other person feel comfortable. I'd also like to share that I was at a networking event a number of years ago now in London, and there was somebody that was standing on their own and sort of holding onto their drink for dear life. And I went up to them and I just said hello and introduced myself. And I said, "I saw that you were on your own, and I just wanted to welcome you to the event. I've been here a few times, and you know, sort of, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, how you found out about the event and what you're doing here and what you're hoping to gain from it, and tell me about what you do." And they started talking, and about 20 minutes later, they said, "It's been great. It's been really, really great connecting with you, and I've really enjoyed myself." And then at the end of the evening, they came up to me and they said, "Do you know what? You made me feel so comfortable. I don't know what it was that you did, but I felt really, really comfortable, and I really enjoyed the event after the conversation." He didn't ask me a thing about me. He didn't ask only that I gave my name at the beginning. He asked nothing. He knew nothing about what I did for a living at all, but he felt comfortable because he was talking about himself.
How did you feel about it?
Well, I was thinking, oh, well, I managed to help somebody, and maybe he might, you know, sort of look me up because he had an experience. And that's the thing, that he will remember me because of the experience, the impression that I left him in, that he will probably look me up and find out what I did. But because he didn't ask me, I didn't feel comfortable to say, "Hey, you know, actually, I do stress management work."
Wait, where are you going? I have to give you my information. Stop.
I just thought, you know, if he was that interested, he would ask. And sometimes before then, you know, I don't use business cards now because the world has changed so much. You know, when I was giving out business cards, if somebody didn't ask me for a card, I didn't give them one. And there were some people that I would go to events like once a month, and they would say, "You haven't given me a business card." And I say, "Well, perhaps you didn't ask me. I don't give them out unless somebody asks me to give them one." And that's because I know what happens to business cards when you've been to these kind of events. And I don't want to litter my business card in your box without you really wanting it.
Absolutely. I think it's so funny that you said that, because I just ordered business cards for USA Global TV and Radio to take with me for the event, but they're not regular business cards. They're not paper. They're made out of, I forget what they're made out of. They're made out of this hard substance that you could probably use as a boomerang or something.
Oh.
So,
Woohoo!
woo! Yeah, it's interesting. You know, something else I wanted to talk about with sisterhood, because this happens a lot at networking events, is when someone comes up and they give you a compliment. And we talk about this on the power of etiquette and manners. And I think you and I have talked about it on the Listening Mentor, but it just happened to me the other day. And someone said something, a person I didn't know said something really nice. And I thought to myself immediately, I wonder if she has vision problems. Like, that is exactly what came into my mind. I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, I wonder if she has vision problems. So I started making excuses. Well, blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, that's not a good way to be. I recognized it, but yet at the same time here, I'm getting a compliment and I'm insulting the person. In my mind, there's something wrong with them. And then I'm making up excuses. So then they feel bad that they even said anything. And yet we do this as women all the time, don't we?
Yes, this is the personal insecurities, and we all have that little voice in our head, that's saying, oh no, you're not good enough, you're not worthy of this, and you don't look good in that, and you look better in the other one, and who do you think you're trying to kid? We've all got that little voice in our heads, and it's just if we listen to it. And so I call that the negative inner chatter, and the monks, they call it the monkey mind. I think that's a really lovely description of it, because it's the monkey just chattering in the mind. What do you do? Well, I was taught this with one of my trainers, to say thank you. When somebody gives you a compliment, to literally say thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And thank you for your kind words. But thank you is what you say, because when you say thank you, you then receive the compliment, and the other person feels heard, and they also get something back from that elevated emotion of gratitude. And so to say thank you, and if you want to say, sometimes I do, that's very kind of you to say, well, thank you for your kind words. They're really appreciated. This is another way of you receiving the compliments in a much deeper way. And when you're in gratitude for something that somebody said to you, it elevates your heart frequency, and it makes you feel better, and it makes you feel more comfortable in that space of receiving the compliment.
It certainly does. It's hard to accept the compliment depending on what it is. And then the other thing I think is interesting, you were talking about people asking about what you do. People will ask what I do, and I tell them, and then they don't say anything. They literally, they don't say anything. They just stand there like, so then I'll start changing the subject, but I'll feel a little much. You could ask a question. But I'm used to asking questions because that's what I do. And maybe people just don't know what questions to ask. So I don't have a judgment about it. I'm aware of it. So now when people ask what I do, I'm changing what I say. I'm not going into the television platform and what we do here. I write books. That's what I'm saying now.
Oh, right. Well, that's really sad, because I would ask you a question. I'd say, oh, right, what kind of people are you looking for? I'd be interested. How do I get onto your platform? That's what I would be asking. So it might be that you could say within your conversation, say that you're always looking for guests to appear on your platform to share education and an inspirational message. And then let the other person come in, because they may say, oh, I could share something, because that's what I would say. So anybody tells me that they have a TV platform, I go, oh, really? Oh, how amazing. And I would say, so what made you get into it? And what made you feel that this was the right kind of thing for you to do? Because it's a big deal to do a TV channel, and it's a very sexy thing to do, and at the same time it puts you way above what other people will be talking about, especially if you met a printer, for instance, or a banker. That's not as sexy. And so to be a TV presenter and broadcaster is hugely admiration, has a huge amount of kudos. So maybe they're just a bit afraid of what to say next.
It could be, because literally no one has said, hey, I'd like to be on there. I did have someone say, what kind of shows do you have? And as soon as I got to the third or fourth one, they were like looking away. I thought, okay, so they're not interested. But I do love what I do. And I think it is interesting. And you do it as well. And you think it's interesting. And we're here, and there's people watching and people listening. And can you believe we're 43 minutes into this show? I can't even believe it. We just love to chat, don't we?
Time goes quickly when you're having fun. Sisterhood. That is what sisterhood is. Time will fly because there is connection. That's what sisterhood is all about. It's about a heart-based connection, so that time does fly, because when you're in your heart space, there is no time. There is only the heart place of an experience.
So true. And my heart is with you. And I thank you so much for doing this with me. As you know, we have other team members here on the show. Jenetta Barry and Dr. Madalene Chan are very much involved with World Jenny's Day, which is coming up starting this evening at 10 p.m. British Summer Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and all the other times. So we will be back. And Caroline, you're hosting tomorrow. What are your times?
1 o'clock till 2 and 2 till 3 tomorrow.
BST.
That's British summertime.
Absolutely. Okay, fantastic. So please let people know how they can get this free 30-minute stress buster consultation and anything else that you want to share with them about Talking Heads or anything else, listening mentor.
You can reach me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or if you're more comfortable, to call on +44 if you're international, 07523 120 189, and I offer a free 30-minute stress buster consultation. I obviously offer more things than that, which you can come and pay for, but my initial is a free consultation to break through one symptom that's causing you problems. I also am on Talking Heads, which is a show that I do at 5 p.m. British Summer Time on a Tuesday, and I look specifically at all types of stress like anxiety, depression, ADHD, trauma. Last week, I looked at the psychology of living in autopilot, and each show is one that is my own show on a Tuesday. I'm an expert presenter in Talking Heads and part of Dr. Jacalyn's extremely amazing team of coaches. And I also co-host with Dr. Jacalyn The Listening Mentor on Friday. That's British Summer Time, 7 p.m. And that's a show that generally is Dr. Jacalyn and myself, and we explore all sorts of manner of things about listening, or maybe not listening, and how it affects you, your relationships, and those around you. And on Tuesday, that's British Summer Time, I am going to be hosting and co-hosting on World Jenny's Day.
And we look forward to it. So do join us for World Jenny's Day. We're going to share some of our sponsorships. Before we do, I just wanted to plug this book, Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. And Caroline, you were very wonderful to write a testimonial in here. This book has 2 quizzes, a pre-assessment, because everyone thinks, as we know, that everyone's a great listener. Take the quiz, find out, see where you stand. And then there are case studies, testimonials, and tips to help you listen for deeper connections, better relationships, and more authentic conversations. You can pick that up on Amazon. All right, we're going to watch a music video from one of our sponsors. We love this, Caroline, don't we? Because it really gets us going. Her name is Ella Holly, and she is in the UK. And the name of her single is Things That We Do. And you can find this over on our YouTube channel. And just go to USA Global TV and Radio. Let me see if I can get this going. All right, here we go.
If I look into your heart, are you looking back at me? Am I everything you want, baby? If my heart was in your hands, would it be for you and me? Would you wanna keep it close, baby? Right on time, find the right guy, the one I dreamed he'd be. Give it all that you can, stumble and fall. Love will set me free. Baby, 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 don't you know you drive me crazy? I love the things that we do. Baby, 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 if you say that I'm your lady, 'cause I can't stop thinking of you. If you told me to my face, you would lie right through your teeth. Would anybody know this is meant for me? I'm not the one to cry or throw my heart away. Can you show me all your loving? 'Cause I'm tired of these games. Right on time, I find the right guy, the one I dreamed he'd be. Give it all that you can, stumble and fall. Love will set me free. Baby, 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 don't you know you drive me crazy? crazy. I love all the things that we do. Baby, if you say that I'm your lady, 'cause I can't stop thinking of you. Wanna play the game, make it up, fake it up. It's what we do. We play the game, shake it up, wake it up. I'm thinking of you. It's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Reach for the stars. Baby, don't you know you drive me crazy? I love all the things that we do. Baby, if you say that I'm your lady, 'cause I can't stop thinking of you. Baby.
By the way, that's Sisterhood, right?
I was just about to say that. Are you reading my mind?
Woo, reading your mind.
It really is. That is a sisterhood, 3 girls together. That is a sisterhood song. That is a sisterhood feel. That is just a sisterhood vibration.
I absolutely love it. And we wish her all the best, Ella Holly. All right, we've got another sponsorship, and then we're going to close out. Caroline, I don't know if you can stay around, but we're going to showcase Zane Carson Carruth. She has a very special event that's coming up. If you happen to be in the Houston, Texas area in the US of A, Zane Carruth, who is one of our show hosts, will be live in person with the launch of Books to Bed and World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. So it's a pajamas and book set. And by the way, I have sent an email to rsvphouston@neimanmarcus.com to reserve my set for my little wonderful great niece, Ella. So Saturday, October 14th, 11 to 1, which is Central Time. You can find Zane there. All right, Zane, best wishes with that. Let's take a look at her sponsorship, Zane Carson Carruth.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Bella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Bella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Bella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
Thank you so much, Zane Carson Carruth. And Caroline, of course, we want to give a big shout out to our new followers and viewers from E360 TV. Caroline, we have your banner on how people can follow you. Tell us a little bit more.
You can follow me on No More Stress at live.co.uk, or you can call me on +44 if you're international, 750-7523 if you're local, 120-189. And I look forward to literally busting your stress.
Thank you, Caroline. And also, we have 41 different shows that people can choose from. So if you like to go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com, you can go ahead and book your session. I think I have a banner here somewhere. Here it is. And there it is, usaglobaltv.com. You can also go to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV and Radio. You can find all of Caroline's shows from Talking Heads. What will you be doing this week? I love this one, Separation and Divorce. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, you'll have to wait and find out, won't you? I can't give it all away here, but sort of why is it different? Is it?
But tell people when they can see your Talking Head show live.
You'll see my Talking Head show live on Tuesday. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, the 10th of October. And it's interesting that it's also World Mental Health Day too. So you can see it at 5 p.m. UK, British Summer Time, or midday Eastern Time.
Thanks, Caroline. All right, that's a wrap for today. So what to expect for the rest of today? We will be starting with World Jenny's Day at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to run until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Excuse me. And then we're coming back in the wee hours of the morning, 3 a.m. I will not be here, but our producer will be here, and Janetta Barry will be leading us off. Caroline will be joining her. And then we have some other hosts and team members as well. And then when World Jenny's Day wraps up, then Caroline will be doing her Talking Heads, and we'll have our regular broadcasting. So thanks again to everyone. We're right on time today. I absolutely love it. Thank you, USA Global TV and Radio, and thank you to E360 TV. Thank you, Caroline, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.
Woohoo! Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.